Good morning, everyone. Yeah, finally we met in this meditation. You look great. Okay. When I was junior high in Korea, for a couple of years, I was bothered by constipation. So my mother had that symptom, but I didn't realize that that was that annoying. The root cause is very simple. What I ate, what came in my system does not go out. That's the problem. Just like when we constantly breathe in and cannot breathe out, we will die. This very simple principle is not seriously considered as to our mind. When you receive a text message, but you hear some sound beep or kakao, then many people immediately check what's on the screen. How many text messages do you think you need to check immediately? Or necessary information? Probably less than 20%. People go to Ivy League, not because of their great compassionate heart, because of their smart thinking mind. Our job is not physically, but mentally demanding. If we don't think right, then probably we cannot make it in this society in many areas. Especially, we are living in a society where information is literally inundating our mind. So we are mentally very tired, first of all, exhausted. Buddha said, this world is on fire, on fire. Let me read that. Monks and nuns, the world is burning with what is burning, how it is burning. The eyes are burning, the ears are burning, minds are burning. With what fires are they burning? With the fire of greed, grasp, anger, and hatred, and with the fire of ignorance and the delusion, they burn. By divesting grasp and delusion, and by not clinging to eyes, ears, mind, you can find freedom. For example, when you rub these two material very hard, heat is produced and it will burn. Likewise, when our six sense organs, especially our mind, come in contact with some form, visual things, sound, tactile sensation, and some mental object, especially our thought, then our mind is burning. It is a flame. Nervous breakdown, maybe a little extreme for some people, but mental exhaustion, stressed out, that's a very, very common thing we all experience. Okay, when we rest ourselves, then what do we do? Some people use iPhone to watch something, or we read a magazine or talk with other people. I was very surprised at the gym, YMCA, when they use the running machine. So many people these days watch their screen. It has become deeply embedded our mind. This kind of a competitive society coupled with our thinking mind, the habituated tendency really make us very, very tired. When you are tired, you are not happy. These days, meditation is very popular, but in the early 60s, one Japanese Zen master visited New York. At that time, even the yoga, that world was very strange. And one journalist asked, what's your impression when you visit New York City? He said, I discovered too many restaurants and too few restrooms. Too many restaurants means the educational system or lots of broadcasting company. They fill our mind with a lot of information. Restroom is some place to relax ourselves, to clear our mind. That's why one of the items of mindfulness, according to our scripture, our founding master says, to cultivate the spirit, be mindful to practice chanting or sitting meditation, either during the time before going to bed, or after dinner, or else early in the morning. One of the mindfulness he encouraged. To cultivate the spirit, the original Korean or Chinese word is Fu Yang. It's translated in English, cultivate the spirit. Su Yang, spiritual cultivation. Do you know what Su literally means? Wipe out, clean. When, for example, the window is dirty, you wipe out the dirt. Yang literally means grow, cultivate, nurture. Su Yang means spiritual cultivation. For example, when you grow something in the garden, you first weed the ground, and then you manure, fertilizer the topsoil. So weeding the ground, leveling the garden is like su. Spreading fertilizer is yang. That's what we need in our mind garden. These days, I think, become no more knowledgeable in meditation or chanting, etc. But in the early stage of Buddhism, in the 60s and the 70s in the United States, many people thought meditation is just a stress reduction technique or pretty cool path to relax ourselves. There are a lot of medical scientific experiment. One of the experiments that impressed me was this one. One medical doctor in the general hospital divided into two groups. Just the patient who regularly come to the clinic. One group like 20, 30 people to relax themselves. They were asked to come to the hospital 3 or 4 times in a week, and they sit in the very comfortable couch and listened to the recorded novel, but not serious stuff. They're amusing, then they go. A way of relaxing themselves. Another group was taught to practice sitting meditation. They are not motivated, so imagine in the hospital, they are just following what the doctor says, that they may have a lot of thoughts. Many people are very much restless for 15 or 20 minutes. They did that for 10 weeks. And then that doctor examined the brain waves of those two groups. When our mind is calm and focused, the dominant brain waves is alpha waves that comes from our frontal lobes. When they checked the amount of brain waves of two groups patients when they are involved in daily activities, the second group, who meditate with lots of thoughts and very much restless, have 3 or 4 times more of alpha waves, which indirectly says even though it is 10 or 15 minutes when they were involved in daily activities, their mind is far more peaceful and focused. So young, nurturing our spirit is important. Nurturing. You may have, when we chant, when we practice sitting meditation, you may be somewhat restless or with a lot of thoughts, but still it's a great way to enhance our spirituality, nurture our mind, which is very, very important. Our founding master suggested the two paths. It's not just in one Buddhism, in most of the Buddhist school. They suggested the two ways of spiritual cultivation. One is chanting meditation, the other is sitting meditation. Unlike many Westerners believe in Taiwan or in Japan, major Buddhist school is not meditation school. Pure Land school is a chanting school. Chanting, the most popular forms of meditation or spiritual cultivation. Especially when we have a lot of wandering thoughts or some restless worries, then when we practice sitting meditation directly, then we cannot easily focus our mind, whether it's on our breath or bodily sensation. So that's why 10 or 15 minutes of chanting before sitting is a very popular way in whatever Buddhist schools. It's very easily replace our thoughts in a single thought, just the sound, whether it's Namami Tabu or Om Mani Padme. I personally prefer to chant Namami Tabu without a melody. But today the melody, Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha. That's what I created 2 years ago for me to chant, not to practice here, especially when I drive, when I use our walking trail. After 30 minutes, things become a little boring. I chant. So when the medical doctors check the brain pattern, when we are absorbed in chanting, or sitting meditation, the brain pattern is 100% the same. Our founding master said the merit is Dharma. So if you are not focused with a lot of thoughts, even our founding master recommended chanting in silence works. So you can try various techniques. When I practice myself, for example, in my room, when I have a lot of thoughts, then I turn off the soft music for 10 or 15 minutes. There are lots of meditation music application, 10 or 15 minutes. Then after 10 or 15 minutes, I turn it off. Or when I'm very much physically tired, then I practice lying down meditation 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes I just go to sleep at night, but usually after 10 or 15 minutes, not only physically, many times mentally, it's very much refreshing. So you have to find out your own method. The statistics say that at the football, after touchdown, when the kickers kick the ball, some player take a pause by whatever way. Some player breathe in and breathe out several times. Some people, some player look at the football for a couple of minutes. Some player march in place by whatever method. When they bring their mind to a pose, statistics say the chance for them to score the point is far, far higher. So we don't practice sitting or chanting for the sake of spiritual cultivation. It helps us to enhance our work performance in whatever area. First of all, by empowered and fortified the mind through various spiritual cultivation methods, we can relate the same situation in a far more peaceful and contented way, but objectively, we can work better. We all know the founder, the first emperor of the Mongolian Empire, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan. When he was young, after battle, he was exhausted completely. He sat next to the well, and with a bucket, he drew some water to quench his thirst. Then all of a sudden, his hawk, in Arab or in Mongol area, they use a hawk for hunting. That hawk flew towards him and snatched the bucket, and the water was spilled. He was a little surprised. That hawk was well trained. When he threw the water one more time, that hawk flew towards him and break the bucket. And he was very mad. He again threw some water, and then the hawk came towards him, and he was very angry, and he killed that hawk with his sword. In a minute, one of his soldiers ran towards him and said, "General, you are not supposed to drink that water. There are lots of poisonous snakes in this town, and they look inside the well. There were one poisonous snake, which was dead at the bottom of the well. If he drank that water, he may be dead." But Genghis Khan was terribly sorry for the hawk who risked his life to save him. But it's already dead. From that day, they say, Genghis Khan decided his mind. When I am angry, when I lose my center, I will not speak anything. When I lose my center, I will not pass any judgment or do anything. For his whole life, I heard, Genghis Khan could not read or write. He was an illiterate person. But they say that emperor listened to the advice of his generals very, very well. So when we stop our mind by whatever method of the spiritual cultivation, great wisdom, great power of the minds arise in our mind as well as in our life. This Chinese character, he, means wisdom. Do you know this upper part, what it means? Broom. Clean with a broom. This lower part, it means mind and heart. When you, with the broom, when you clean your mind, wisdom arises. Brooming your mind means wisdom. That's why meditation and enlightenment cannot be separated. So I think most of you here have already have the habit of whether it's chanting or sitting meditation. So let's make it more regular in our life. Then our life will move to the next level. Thank you.